informative. You got some really good pictures. Now everyone, have a prosperous New Year's, an amazing day here in San Antonio, and an amazing life. Thank you very much, and have safe travel. Yourself inside the San Antonio River. Well, don't even be afraid, because I will throw you a life preserver. But if you feel like you need further assistance, we'll use your own assistance, because you can just stand up. Folks, this is an American tribe that resided on this very river thousands of years ago. It was like their Garden of Eden. And while on the topic of religion, why don't we look to my top five spots? There's actually a very interesting reason behind it. Reason why is because shortly after Mexican independence in 1821, basically no one lived in modern day Texas. To give you context, only about 3,000 Hispanics lived in Texas in the year 1830. So this was a very empty piece of land. And so the Mexican government wanted to change that. They wanted to create a frontier between them and the United States. But there was one big problem. Actually there wasn't a big problem. They got a worldwide invitation. Told everyone, hey, come to Texas. Land is very cheap, it's very fertile. Why not come by? And so this attracted millions of immigrants from all over the world, specifically Europe, specifically Germany. And for the majority of the 1800s, the number one incoming immigrant population here in Texas was German, followed by French, followed by Eastern European, and then followed by Mexican. And here's a fun fact. For a good chunk of the 1800s, the number one spoken language here in Texas wasn't even Spanish or English, but it was actually German. So it really gives you a hindsight how big of a German presence there was here. But for the next part of the tour, I'm going to focus on a very specific year, the year 1968. 1968, the World's Fair is coming to San Antonio, and it's a very big deal. Reason why is because this city is expecting 7 million visitors, while only 600,000 residents are living in the county. So what would you do if you're expecting 7 million visitors? Perhaps build a hotel or two. Except the city didn't really do that. Not until 1967, when it was almost too late. Because in 1967, a gentleman named H.B. Zachary built a 500-room hotel in less than a year here on the Riverwalk. But how? Before I tell you how, ladies and gentlemen, once we pass this bridge right on top of us, I need everyone to look directly behind me up high. One more time. Directly behind me on top of this bridge right on top of me, we are going to see our red sculpture. Folks, that right up there is the Torch of Friendship. Torch of Friendship was given to us by the Mexican government in 2002. It's supposed to represent the peace and coexistence between the United States and Mexican cultures, and it's supposed to be two hands going like this. So, how did they build a 500-room hotel in less than a year? Well, H.B. Zachary built the first 4 floors of the hotel on the river like any other hotel. About 9 miles south, H.B. Zachary had a factory where he was constructing concrete cubes. And in those concrete cubes were fully furnished hotel rooms. They had TVs, beds, radios, nightstands, wallpapers, carpets, even Bibles on the nightstands next to the beds. And then H.B. Zachary proceeded to stack all of the fully furnished concrete cubes on top of the first 4 floors he built on the river. Basically like this. So what hotel am I talking about? Past the bridge, look to my left, and we will see that hotel. Ladies and gentlemen, we are looking at the Hilton Palacio del Rio, built in a record-breaking 202 working days. That's less than 8 months. They built this hotel faster than a human. Now let's look at the first 4 floors of the hotel. We're going to see a normal looking hotel. But look, on top of the first 4 floors, you will see all of the concrete cubes carefully stacked on top of each other. But the real question is, how did they build this hotel so fast? Because they actually built it ahead of schedule. Well, the original plan was to stack 10 cubes a day with a crane. But the guy stacking the cubes got very efficient at it. So he started stacking 32 cubes a day and accidentally built a record-breaking hotel on the Riverwalk. Spanish soldiers that were stationed at Mission San Antonio de Valero, or what is now known as the Alamo, lived at La Villita with their loved ones. Fast forward to the mid-1800s, La Villita became a German slum, until 1939 when it got fully redone. If you go to La Villita today, you'll mostly see beautiful art galleries, restaurants, live music, and one of the few public restrooms on the river. And part of La Villita is directly in front of us, ladies and gentlemen. Folks, we are looking at the Arneson River Theater. Arneson River Theater was made in 1941 and designed by an architect named Edwin Arneson. It has an 800-person venue, And ladies and gentlemen, why don't we look to my right at the stage? Because if this stage rings a bell, that's because that's where Sandra Bullock filmed her swimsuit scene in the movie Miss Congeniality. But if you're like me and you don't even get the reference, that's okay. Because instead we can look at the 5 bells on top of the stage. Those 5 bells represent the 5 missions of San Antonio. And fun fact, San Antonio is known as Mission City. Reason why is because we are the only city in the United States with 5 missions left over from the Spanish colonial era. Alrighty, for the very next part of the tour, please look to my right at the Frisco Western Art Museum. Frisco opened up in 2013 and it is named after former Texas Governor Del Frisco Jr. Our this building to my right dates back all the way to 1930, because in 1930 it was the original San Antonio Public Library, which was activated in 1929 by father-son duo Robert and Atlee Ayers. It cost $3 million to fund, 1 year to make. And ladies and gentlemen, please look at the top of the Tower Life building, because if y'all look at the way top, you will see gargoyles. Can y'all see those gargoyles up there?
What's that?
Now once you spot at the county courthouse is the longest continuously ranked courthouse in the state of Texas. It is made out of Texas granite, red sandstone, and has a very unique Hugman-esque door. Let's backtrack a little bit. Folks, why don't we look directly behind me at the Tower Life? Because if y'all look at the Tower Life right behind me and use your imaginations, you will see that it kind of looks like a ship coming straight at us. What do y'all think? And then right now we're on a blind spot, so I do have to honk my horn. One more time, I'm gonna honk my horn. Do not be alarmed. And it looks like no one's coming through, so we are going to proceed forward through floodgate 4. That round thing right in front of us with the green light is floodgate 4, one of 6 floodgates in the river. Now that light was red, it means the floodgate has activated. And then I'm gonna go ahead and take a right, because if I were to take a left, then we would experience a 20-foot drop down Nueva Street down. Hey, how about this? Raise your hand if you want to go down that drop. Let's put those hands down. Because if you went down that drop, you would end up in the Gulf of Mexico. Why? Well, this river is 246 miles long. So what does that mean? Well, that means this is a natural river. But of course, there's man-made bits here and there. The specific spot that we're in right here is man-made. It's a flood channel. It's also the deepest part. It's 20 feet deep. And folks, if you look to my left, you will see drains. Water from the street goes to the drains, goes to the river, prevents floods in the downtown area. Do y'all want to know what else was made to prevent floods? The Riverwalk itself. The reason we have a Riverwalk is because in 1921, San Antonio suffered the most disastrous flood in the city's history to this day. It cost millions of dollars in damages, killed 202 people, and then the floodwaters went 9 feet above street level in the downtown area. So now 9 feet above Milam tree. Ben Milam tree is 90 feet tall and over 400 years old. And the reason it's called the Ben Milam is because in 1835, a Colonel Benjamin Milam escaped Mexican imprisonment and made his way to San Antonio, only to discover the city had just been taken by Mexican forces. So Ben Milam decided to rally 300 Texian soldiers to take the city back. And on the first day of the siege, Ben Milam was standing on the other side of the river at the cathedral, waiting for his men. Waiting for Ben Milam was a Mexican sniper stationed on the Ben Milam tree with a clear shot of the cathedral. Can anyone on the boat guess what that Mexican sniper did to Ben Milam? Well, Ben Milam died. 5 days later, his men were able to retake the city of San Antonio, and a year later, Texas was able to secede from Mexico, birthing a new country called the Republic of Texas. That's right, Texas was a country from 1836 to 1845 until the United States decided to join us. But for the next part of the tour, please look to my right at a balcony very low to the ground with 3 lights. Ladies and gentlemen, that right there is the Esquire Tavern. Esquire Tavern is the oldest tavern on the river. It opened up in 1933, the same year Prohibition was lifted. That is when alcohol became legal. And in that tavern literally wasted no time, because they opened up 1 minute and 42 seconds after Prohibition was lifted. See those chandeliers inside? The reason I point them out is because the flood waters of 19 location on the river, ladies and gentlemen, is right in front of us. Called the Aztec ticket location. Now, why is it called the Aztec? Look to my top right. Top right, we will see the Aztec Theater. Aztec Theater was made in 1926, and in fact, Charlie Chaplin performed here a few times. But everyone keep looking to my top right side, and we will see the Aztec stone goddess. Can y'all see that goddess up there? Now, the Aztec Theater did start to decline by the 1970s, as no one really wanted to see silent films anymore. It was a dying business. Until later on in the 70s, when the theater was restored, renovated, and registered as a building of historical places. Go to the Aztec today, you'll mostly see beautiful art galleries and restaurants, so for example, Snoop Dogg, Becky G, and the Foo Fighters have all performed in the Aztec. Now let's look directly in front of the, it wasn't for the Selena movie, and that movie literally made J-Lo. It was a breakout role, and made her the star she is today. And let's look to my left at a white hotel called La Omni Mansion. La Omni Mansion started off as a school in 1853, founded by 4 acolytes from the Society of Mary. It was called St. Mary's School for Boys. Later it changed its name to St. Mary's School of Law, and then in 1966 a former student came back to the city, purchased a building, and transformed it into a hotel called La Posada Hotel. La Posada later got acquired by La Omni chain, and now it's just a normal hotel. We're looking at the former Naval Hospital, which opened in 1930. This is one of the first full-service medical centers with air conditioning in the nation, and it gives birth to quite a few celebrities that you've more than likely heard of. Such as part of the tour, let's look directly in front of the boat up high. We are going to see yet another hotel called the Hyatt Regency. Hyatt Regency is a 16-story hotel built in 1981. I don't know about y'all, but if I was building a hotel here on this river in 1981, you know, I'd probably make it a little bit taller than 16 stories. So why is that hotel right in front of us so short? So the reason why is because of a federal law. On the other side of that building right in front of us is a war memorial. Would anyone in the crowd happen to know what war memorial that may be? Who can guess? Who can guess? Because you more than likely heard of it. It's called the Alamo. Now, the Hyatt Regency was too tall, it would cast a shadow over the Alamo. And it is illegal in the United States of America for any building to cast a shadow over a war memorial. So, that's the main reason why this hotel is so short. They couldn't go over the shadow line, and the shadow line was exactly at 16 stories. So for the very next part of the tour, once we pass this bridge right on top of us, I'm going to need everyone to look to my right at a red structure. Casino Club building. This Casino Club building right over here was brought up from the merging of 2 German companies in 1927, the San Antonio Club and the Casino Association. But of course, this is no longer a casino. The very first 2 floors is simply a restaurant on top of its apartments. But I'm sure quite a few of you folks in the crowd are wondering to yourself, what's a casino doing here in San Antonio? Because I was under the impression that gambling was illegal in the state of Texas. So, it turns out that it is, and it has been since 1908. The primary reason there's a casino here is because the actual definition of a casino doesn't even mean slot machines, poker, or gambling. The actual definition of a casino is a place of gathering. That building right behind us was basically just a hangout spot for many locals in the 20s and 30s. And right now we are in River Square. Let's say you get hungry, come to a restaurant, satiate your needs. But it wasn't always like this. Because if y'all remember the story correctly, this riverwalk was finished being built in 1941 and designed by an architect named Robert Hugman. Now Robert Hugman finished his riverwalk, he had a dream. He wanted folks from all over the world to come set their businesses on this river. Kind of like how we see today, except absolutely no one wanted to, as they just thought this river was going to flood again. So, in 1941, Robert Hugman decided to walk the walk. Prove a point. He moved his office to the river to show everyone how safe it really is. Ladies and gentlemen, look to my right at the cylindrical building. That right there is Robert Hugman's office. And in fact, if you look a little bit up high on top of those Texas flags, look at those green rails by the little AC unit. And look underneath the green rails. You will see Robert Hugman's initials. R.H.H. Hugman, and then architect. It's time we figure out who's paying attention on this ride. So I'm giving y'all pop quiz. Get ready. Raise your hand if you think the San Antonio River is natural. Raise your hand if you think this river is man-made. Raise your hand if you think this river is natural
Man-made.
and man-made. Hey, look at that. Well, folks, this river is about 90% natural and 25% man-made. And here's a fun fact. 25% of our river water is natural spring-fed water, comes from underground. Another 25% is recycled water from the San Antonio water system. So, for example, your hose, your faucet, we take a shower. Absolutely no one knew this river walk existed. Not even people from San Antonio knew this river walk existed. And so the World's Fair was an excellent opportunity to show it off. One big problem. The World's Fair is being hosted too far east, directly in front of the boat, while the original Riverwalk was too far west of town, right in front of us. She is made out of 72 pieces of polished stone, concrete, and volcanic material, also known as obsidian. And her Spanish name, or her English name is Sargazer, while her Spanish name is Celatli. Why does this pretty little lady have a Spanish name, you ask? So it's actually because she is Mexican. She was given to us by a Mexican artist named Pedro Reyes in 2022. Or maybe even the Alamo. None of them are correct. None of them are incorrect. Because as I said, it's completely left out for interpretation. And then right now we are entering the youngest part of the river. Folks, this part of the river was extended in 1986 so there could be a physical connection from the Riverwalk to the River Center Mall, which we'll get to shortly. And then we're passing the third and largest ticket location is to my right. This is by Picturesque Lot, but I'm not going to drop it off just yet because I still have to show you one more part of the tour. And also it's the most dangerous part of the tour. Because if you have like kids or something, hide your wallet, folks. Because we are approaching the most dangerous part for your finances. Once you go around this corner, you're going to look at the River Center Mall. River Center Mall opened up in 1988. It was a 3-story mall, third biggest mall in San Antonio, one of 5. And it is the only mall in the United States with a natural river going through it. Inside the mall is over 100 department stores, Legoland, IMAX theater, food court, 8 restaurants on the river, and of course, a Starbucks. But this building right around us didn't even start off as a mall. Fortunate and of art, but I do have a few more things to say. Everyone, please remain seated while I dock and secure my boat. I'm gonna go ahead and let y'all know when it is safe to hop off, so once again, please remain seated, please be patient.